My Lords, I thank the noble Lord Lilly, for securing this debate, even if perhaps it's turned out somewhat differently from what the noble Lord expected. It has been a rich, encouraging debate, and I'm not sure the noble Lord Frost, however, has been watching the same debate as the rest of us. We've not been seeing a crumbling, but rather a strengthening of the wall of understanding and common sense, particularly, I will say, among the majority opposition party on this side of the House. I also want to join many others in welcoming the Labour lady, Baroness May of Maidenhead, to your Lordship's House, and to publicly offer the thanks for, in her notably restrained, as the noble Lord Young noted, resignation list, offering the Green Party the seat that came to bring me into your Lordship's House. I hope she might encourage further moves in that direction from her new position in your Lordship's House. Now, the noble Lord Lilly, in introducing this, said he wanted an honest and informed debate. So I want to start by picking up a couple of the terms that the noble Lord Lilly used. Cheap energy. Well, fossil fuel energy, as a number of noble lords have already outlined, as the noble Lord Willits identified, has very, very considerable externalised costs. In fact, burning fossil fuels, is costing us the earth. Now, as the noble Lord Davies of Brixton highlighted, looking at the risk of the ending of AMOC, the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, often referred to by a part of it in terms of the Gulf Stream, giving Britain the climate of Scandinavia would be a very considerable cost and could not be called a result of cheap energy. I would also pick up the point about the noble Lord Lilly referred to the drop in territorial emissions in the UK. But of course, as the Committee on Climate Change has highlighted, we should be counting our consumption emissions. And when we look at those figures, those emissions are only 19% lower in 2021 than they were in 2001. They are the goods, the services we are using, that we are responsible for the emissions associated with. Now, like the noble Lord Young of Cookham, I think the criteria the noble Lord has used to judge climate change action is interesting. Jobs, growth and prosperity. Now, I'm going to focus on each one of those briefly. Growth, first of all. This is where I'm going to differ from most of the speakers thus far. We cannot have infinite growth on a finite planet. We are, whether we like it or not, in a post-growth world. And it's not just me saying that. I'd point to the fact that the IMF has just been saying in the last week that we cannot have expectations of growth in the future like we've had in the past. The pie of our economy cannot get bigger. What we have to do is stop forcing some people to rely on crumbs and slice that pie up fairly. Who is benefiting from growth in an economy where, in the UK now, where 4.3 million children are growing up in poverty? Now, the second point is jobs, and everyone's saying we need to create jobs. Well, I'd remind the House this week that just one debate we were looking at the new funded childcare places. We need 36,000 more workers to provide those childcare places. We are short 50,000 nurses, 100,000 care workers. Look at the immigration shortage list. Chemical and biological scientists, bricklayers, stonemasons, tilers and retrofitters. These are the activities of the economy that we desperately need. And what we need to do is stop having jobs that trash our climate, that trash our environment, and ensure that in a just transition, those skills, the energy and time and talents of those workers goes towards doing what we actually need to be done. That is a just transition. And finally, I want to focus on prosperity. One dictionary definition, the condition of being successful or thriving. Well, we are a society in poor and declining health. And what the noble Lord identified as cheap energy is a significant contributor to that ill health. Air pollution. To look at recent mapping from the Expanse project at the University of Utrecht, there's only a few areas in the north of Scotland that have pollution levels at or below Health Organisation recommended levels. Those levels of air pollution are contributing to heart and lung disease, COPD, lung cancer, dementia, lower birth rate babies, asthma. We are not a prosperous society, we are an ill society, and the burning of fossil fuels is a significant contributor to that. Climate action is also action to improve the health in our society. And the Noble Lord Frost questioned the insulating of homes. Well, having a warm, comfortable, affordable to heat home, a healthy home, is surely a foundation of life that our economy should be providing to every single person. And let's not forget the cleanest, greenest, cheapest energy you can possibly have is the energy that you don't need to use. And also briefly mentioning childhood obesity, poor diets, our broken food system based on fossil fuels. Our 5-year-olds now are shorter than they were a few years ago. The economy is not working for our people. It's not working in its own terms. So we cannot afford not to have a climate agenda, one that needs to be far more bold and effective than what we have now. We should be looking for zero carbon by the early 2030s. That because of the climate emergency and the nature crisis the planetary boundaries are exceeding, but also for health and well-being, the prosperity of our nation. We need to ensure that we have well-paid, secure jobs in every role that actually needs doing. We need a climate agenda, a just transition for a society living within the physical limits of this planet. Now, there's been a lot of talk and will be a lot of talk about technological innovation. And of course we need that, but we also need social innovation. Things like a 4-day working week as standard with no loss of pay, universal basic income, free education. These are the social innovations we need for climate action and for a prosperous society.